Good morning. This is Teresa from the Punta Gorda History Center, and this morning I just want to touch again on hurricanes. And this time we're moving a little bit into October into the storm that affected the first Punta Gordans here that was recorded. That was in 1878, and it was a storm that went through Cuba and then hit Florida and then went further north. And I'm going to turn around momentarily and show you the route of that storm. And you can see it on the screen here, and it went past Cuba, into Florida, across Florida, and then into the Atlantic. So these are the kinds of storms. And that year, as you can see, because this is the full picture for 1876. I hope I said the 1876 and 1878 because I'm working with both, but it was 1876. And that storm year was very, very quiet. There were only about 5 or 6 recorded serious storms. But the one that hit in 1876 in October, even though the records say that it was very much south of Punta Gorda, we know from Jarvis Howard's diary that, in fact, it had a serious impact here. In fact, I'm going to read a little bit from the diary just to give you a sense of what the Howards were experiencing at the time. It's Punta Gorda in Thursday, October 19th, 1876. It's long past dusk, and having one of the most fearful gales from the eastward that I have yet experienced in Florida. The house fairly trembled with the howling burst, and the floor shook and rumbles if an earthquake, he describes it, in progress. As I sat reading the paper would vibrate. Half an hour ago, I rushed and braced my little kitchen, fearing it might blow over. There is almost as much movement among the tables and chairs as on a ferry boat crossing the river. All day long the gale's been blowing, very much fiercely after dark. During the day we had rain, long continuous spells with occasional showers. All the water is blown out of the harbor, and we expect when the blow is over we will have fair weather to get mullet. Doesn't happen that way. He was wrong. And Friday morning, things don't get any better, and he continues to describe the blast and how the floors were wet and runny. The rain beat in through the house. The winds gradually increased in power. The house shook like the stern sheets going up the Hudson. When we finally got to bed, we could hardly realize that we were not on a steamboat in a fearful gale. It was impossible to sleep. Roaring and howling and crashing of the wind and rain on the roof and side of the house became appalling. Toward midnight, it increased so much to the extent that we certainly began to fear our little house would blow away. You cannot imagine the intense feeling of horror that each blast gave us. He goes on, but I won't now because I don't want to take up too much time. But I do want to show you what the Howard's house probably looked like. This was not Jarvis Howard's house. This was Frederick's. It was next door. But for sure, the house looked something like that. Can you imagine being in a hurricane in this and feeling what he felt in 1876? Well, he stayed around for a little while longer. Not too much longer, but he did. And we'll talk about that some other day. But this is the first recorded record, somebody writing in Punta Gorda about experiencing a hurricane. Take care, and we'll see you next time.